To sum it all up, here is the problem. The problem is that America has a two-party political system, which also influences its economic system and how political campaigns within the two parties are financed. On the one hand, you've got the Republican Party, whose ideals conform to those of their donors. AKA, the Republican Party wants to give tax cuts to the rich and usually favors the top 1% or people who are financially stable or who are basically in the top percentile of the population financially speaking because they just favored them. So the party and the donors, who are usually mass corporations or rich guys like Elon Musk, also agree with their position, which is not to pay so much in taxes and be able to augment profits and really prioritize profit making. So, on the one side, we've got the Republican Party and their donors who have their ideals aligned. On the other hand, we've got the Democratic Party and people who vote for them. The rank and file who vote for them usually want to make people more equal, and the party also wants to make everything more equitable. They want there to be more social welfare programs. They want money and wealth to be distributed equally throughout society so that everyone has the same access to opportunities within it. The problem is that a big chunk and the majority of donors of the Democratic Party are actually not citizens or the rank and file or people who vote for them. It is just as with the Republican Party, also mega donors, mass corporations, private insurance providers, and big pharma. So here is the dilemma with the Democratic Party, with the Dems. It is that they are funded by organizations and corporations that do not share the same ideals as the party, and at the same time, the party has to please the mass corporations and simultaneously please the people who vote for them. That is also a reason why the Democrats practically don't get anything done when they are elected to parliament or when a Democratic president is elected, such as Joe Biden, or at least they do the bare minimum that they should do in order to be considered a progressive party. That is also why the Democratic National Convention or Committee usually appoints a bunch of centrist or conservative Democrats in Parliament in order to vote on resolutions and progressive resolutions particularly that never really pass or never make the final cut, because at the end of the day, there's always going to be one or two conservative Democrats who eventually boycott the legislation and don't allow it to pass. That has happened with, for example, figures such as Joe Lieberman, who rejected Obama's plan to include a public option within Obamacare. Essentially, what this public option had to do, what it entailed, was creating a public healthcare system that would compete against private health insurers. And therefore, this would drive private insurance prices down, which also means that private health insurers would lose money. And the problem is that the Democratic Party is funded by a bunch of insurers, private health insurers. And that is a dilemma. On the one hand, you have a party who will only benefit a top percent of people, and they just want to do that, but their goals are aligned. On the other hand, you've got a party that needs to please two sides who are radically different, want radically different things, and hence they will never please one or the other to the maximum level possible. They're always going to be in between.